Hey there, night owls. Welcome to Midnight Murmurs, the channel that brings you the most captivating stories from the magical world. Today, we're diving into Chapter 6 of the first book in a thrilling 7-book series that will keep you on the edge of your seat. In this story, we follow the journey of Isla, a new student at Arcanum Academy who faces challenges from other students who question her abilities. But with the help of her friends Lily, Max, Aria, and Oliver, she works hard to prove herself and unlock her true potential as a powerful witch. Together, they explore a hidden forest and uncover a dark secret in an old abandoned castle outside of the academy. But that was just the beginning. In their quest to protect the magical world from a powerful and dangerous force, they confront the source of the threat in an epic battle that will test their skills and courage. Will Isla and her friends be able to overcome the odds and emerge victorious once again? You'll have to join us on this journey to find out. So sit back, relax, and get ready for a wild ride through the magical world. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of Midnight Murmurs. Let's dive into Chapter 6 of this incredible story. Book 1, The Secret of the Enchanted Forest. Chapter 6, Confronting the Threat. As the sun began to set over Arcanum Academy, Isla and her friends gathered in the courtyard. They were exhausted, but their hearts were filled with a newfound sense of purpose. For months, they had been on a mission to stop a powerful and dangerous force from being unleashed upon the magical world. And tonight, they were finally going to confront the source of the danger. Isla looked around at her friends, each of them bearing the scars of their battles with dark wizards and creatures. Lily's arm was still in a sling from a fierce duel, Max had a bandage on his forehead from a nasty gash, and Aria's hair was singed from a blast of dark magic. But despite their injuries, they stood tall and proud, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As they made their way through the darkened corridors of the academy, Isla couldn't help but think back to the beginning of the school year. She had been a new student, sorting into Phoenix House and facing challenges from other students who questioned her abilities. But she had persevered, working hard to prove herself and forming close friendships with Lily, Max, Aria, and Oliver. Together, they had explored a hidden forest and uncovered a dark secret in an old abandoned castle outside of the academy. In a fierce battle, they had engaged with dark wizards who were performing a ritual that would unleash a powerful curse upon the magical world. And they had emerged victorious, saving the magical world from a terrible fate. But their victory had been short-lived. Isla and her friends had uncovered an ancient text that described a powerful and dangerous magical force that had been dormant for centuries. And they knew that it was only a matter of time before someone sought to awaken it. Now, as they approached their final destination, Isla's heart raced with anticipation. She knew that the battle ahead would be fierce, but she also knew that they had each other. And with their magic and their unbreakable bond, they were ready to confront the threat and save the magical world once again. The tension in the air was palpable as Isla and her friends prepared for the upcoming battle. They knew that the threat they were facing was unlike anything they had encountered before, and the fate of the magical world hung in the balance. As they gathered in the courtyard of Arcanum Academy, Isla could feel the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She was the newest member of the group, but she knew that they were counting on her to use her skills and contribute to the battle in any way she could. Lily, the group's leader, stepped forward and addressed them all. "We know what we're up against," she said, her voice steady and resolute. "We've faced dangerous situations before, but this time we need to be prepared for anything. We need to work together and use all of our skills to defeat this threat." Max, the group's resident strategist, stepped forward and began to outline their plan of attack. He had studied the ancient texts that they had uncovered, and he knew the weaknesses of the dark wizards they were facing. "We need to divide and conquer," he said, his eyes scanning the faces of his friends. "Isla and Arya, you'll be in charge of defending the perimeter. Oliver, you'll take care of any obstacles or traps that the dark wizards might have set up. Lily and I will take the lead in the battle." Isla felt a wave of nervousness wash over her. She had never been in a battle before, and the thought of facing dark wizards who had been practicing dark magic for centuries was daunting. But she knew that she couldn't let her fear hold her back. She was determined to do whatever it took to protect the magical world and her friends. As they gathered their wands and prepared to leave the safety of the academy, Isla felt a surge of adrenaline. She knew that they were about to face their greatest challenge yet, but she also knew that they had each other. They were a team, and they were ready to fight for what was right. With their heads held high and their wands at the ready, Isla and her friends stepped out of the courtyard and into the unknown. They knew that the battle ahead would be difficult, but they were ready to face it together. The air was charged with tension as Isla and her friends made their way towards the source of the danger. The ancient texts they had found had led them to a secluded area deep within the forest, where a group of dark wizards had set up camp. The wizards were performing a ritual, and the crystal that they sought was lying in the center of a large circle of arcane symbols. Isla and her friends knew that they had to act fast. They spread out around the circle, each one preparing their spells for the battle to come. Lily and Max took up positions on one side, while Arya and Oliver positioned themselves on the other. Isla stood in the center, her wand at the ready. The dark wizards looked up as Isla and her friends entered the clearing. There were 6 of them, each one dressed in black robes and wearing masks that obscured their faces. Isla could feel their dark energy radiating outwards, and she knew that they would stop at nothing to complete their ritual. Without warning, the wizards launched their first attack. Spells flew back and forth across the clearing, each one narrowly missing its intended target. Isla and her friends moved with lightning-fast reflexes, dodging and weaving as they returned fire with their own spells. Lily's spells were focused and precise, striking the dark wizards with deadly accuracy. Max's spells were more explosive, blasting craters into the ground and sending the wizards flying. Arya's spells were swift and graceful, flowing seamlessly from one to the next. Oliver's spells were strong and unwavering, striking the dark wizards with unrelenting force. Isla's spells were different from the others. They were wild and unpredictable, changing direction mid-flight and striking the wizards from unexpected angles. Isla was tapping into a wellspring of raw magic that she had never felt before, and she knew that she had to keep it under control if she wanted to survive. The battle raged on for what felt like hours. Spells flew back and forth, each one more powerful than the last. Isla and her friends were outnumbered and outmatched, but they refused to give up. They fought with everything they had, channeling their magic into a focused beam of light that illuminated the entire clearing. In the end, it was Isla who landed the final blow. With a blast of raw energy, she struck the crystal in the center of the circle, shattering it into 1,000,000 pieces. The dark wizards screamed in agony as their ritual was disrupted, and Isla and her friends used that moment to strike the final blow. The battle was over, but the cost had been high. Isla and her friends were exhausted, their clothes torn and their bodies bruised. The clearing was a mess, with craters and scorch marks littering the ground. But Isla and her friends had emerged victorious, and they knew that they had saved the magical world from a terrible fate. As they made their way back to Arcanum Academy, Isla and her friends reflected on what they had learned. They had faced down a powerful threat, and they had emerged stronger and more confident than ever before. They knew that the danger was far from over, but they were ready to face whatever came their way. After a grueling battle, Isla and her friends emerged victorious against the dark wizards who were seeking to unleash the dangerous magical force. The group of friends stood panting, their wands still pointed at the fallen enemy. Lily, who had taken on the role of healer during the battle, hurried over to Arya and Oliver to check on their injuries. Isla and Max stood guard, scanning the area for any signs of danger. "Is everyone all right?" Lily asked, her voice shaking slightly from the adrenaline rush. "We're fine," Arya replied, wincing as Lily examined her arm. Oliver grunted in agreement, rubbing his side where he had taken a hit from a curse. Isla walked over to her friends, a sense of relief washing over her. They had faced their biggest challenge yet and had come out on top. "That was intense," Max said, breaking the momentary silence. Isla nodded, still trying to process everything that had just happened. They had saved the magical world from a great danger, but what now? "We need to destroy the crystal," she said finally, breaking the silence. Her friends looked at her, nodding in agreement. They knew that the crystal was the key to unleashing the dangerous magical force, and it needed to be destroyed to prevent anyone else from using it. Together, they made their way to where the crystal was kept, deep in the forest. Isla had a plan, but it would require all of their skills and magic to succeed. They stood in a circle around the crystal, their wands at the ready. Isla began to chant, her voice growing louder and more powerful with each passing moment. The crystal began to glow, its power pulsing through the air. Max, Arya, and Oliver joined in, their voices joining Isla's in a powerful chorus. The crystal shook, cracks forming along its surface. With one final burst of energy, the crystal shattered into 1,000,000 pieces, its dangerous power dissipating into the air. Isla and her friends let out a collective sigh of relief, their bodies slumping with exhaustion. The danger had been averted, and they had saved the magical world once again. As they made their way back to Arcanum Academy, Isla couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in her friends and their abilities. They had faced great challenges and had emerged stronger and more united. The aftermath of their victory was felt throughout the magical world, and Isla and her friends were hailed as heroes. But they knew that their work was far from over. There would always be new threats and dangers to face, but they were ready and willing to do whatever it takes to protect the magical world and those they loved. As they settled back into their studies at Arcanum Academy, Isla and her friends knew that they had been changed by their experiences. They had grown as individuals and as a group, and they were ready to face whatever came their way. The future was uncertain, but they were confident that they could handle it together. The battle was long and grueling, but Isla and her friends emerged victorious. They had confronted the source of the danger that threatened the magical world, and they had used their magic to defeat it. As they stood among the ruins of the ancient temple, Isla couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. The danger that had loomed over them for so long had been vanquished, and the magical world was safe once again. But as they began to make their way back to Arcanum Academy, Isla couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. There were still so many mysteries and dangers lurking in the shadows, and she knew that she and her friends would have to remain vigilant if they were to keep the magical world safe. As they walked, Isla's thoughts drifted back to her first days at the academy. She remembered how unsure she had been, how she had questioned whether she was truly cut out for a life of magic. But now, as she walked alongside Lily, Max, Arya, and Oliver, she knew that she had found her place. She had proven herself as a skilled wizard and a loyal friend, and she knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she could face them with confidence. For Isla and her friends, the journey was far from over. But as they returned to Arcanum Academy, they did so with a renewed sense of purpose and a deep appreciation for the power of magic. And as they looked ahead to the future, they knew that they would face whatever dangers lay ahead together as a team. For they had proven that when they worked together, they were capable of achieving great things. The magical world was safe for now, but there would always be new threats and challenges to face. And Isla and her friends were ready for whatever came their way. Thank you so much for tuning into this exciting chapter of Isla and the Arcanum Academy on Midnight Murmurs. We hope you enjoyed this thrilling adventure and the magical world that Isla and her friends have embarked upon. If you're craving more, don't worry, there are 6 more books in this amazing series that will take you on even more exciting journeys filled with magic, adventure, and danger. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, Midnight Murmurs, so you don't miss any updates on the upcoming chapters and other exciting content. As always, thank you for joining us on this adventure, and we can't wait to see you again in the next chapter.